Hello, thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. My first video of the year. My name is Dennis, and this is my art channel. Happy you can join me on this special occasion where we're actually just going to go outside onto the deck. I'm preparing to paint, and I'm perplexed because I wasn't expecting it to snow. This is turning into a much chiller painting experience than I had planned, both in the sense of it's going to be very cold and hopefully it's going to have good chill vibes that we can just relax to, hopefully together. And without further ado, going right into painting, no hesitation with going in with the largest brush that I have here. It's a 1-inch brush, 1-inch wash brush, and first color here is actually the cadmium yellow. I don't know. I'm not so sure about what I'm doing here. I'm just describing what I'm talking about. I feel like we should just talk, right? This is a new year, and hopefully that means new things happening, new experiences, new new experiences. Feels like it kind of encompasses everything. Maybe a new job, a new who knows, maybe a new place to live. For me, I know I want to work out more and cut down on my weight, so new life in terms of health. Some people do resolutions, but I feel like no matter what, this is a time for sort of a reset. Anybody can sort of reset time. Don't think that we should judge people for wanting to change when we have so much going on in the middle of the year. It does feel like the lull in the winter is an opportunity to reevaluate and see what could happen in terms of just rearranging some things in life. I know that I feel like the past few years in the winter we've been doing little renovations in my room or around the house, and it's a time to improve sort of the living situation or rearrange a little bit of furniture and increase the energy, increase the feng shui in the house, and overall improve the day-to-day kind of activity, day-to-day energy level by improving the environment. That's what I feel like I get into every winter. I feel like part of the reason why I'm even painting outside in the first place here is that I have a whole mess in my room because I'm trying to build a new wardrobe. I'm waiting for a few parts from IKEA is the brand of furniture that I've got here. So, I've got most of the pieces of the wardrobe, but the main frame, the part that everything's supposed to go into, I'm waiting on that piece to deliver, since it's just too heavy to try to pick it up from the store and doesn't fit in any vehicle that my family owns. So waiting on a delivery, so there's a bit of a mess going on. But even in that mess, I feel like it's a chance to reevaluate some of those things making that mess, if they're necessary or not. I feel like in particular I've got a lot of old boxes and things that I hold on to in case. I feel like I hold on to things like old graphics card boxes and things, motherboard boxes, just in case I want to resell them later on for upgrades and things. But at the same time, I feel like it's perhaps unnecessary to keep those, since I'm sure that I could sell them if I need to, either way, with or without the box. But the box itself is taking up space and potentially isn't sightly, and kind of removing from the energy of the space and what it could be without such a random computer box in the middle of the room. So, using that as an example. But yeah, I feel like spring cleaning comes to mind, but winter cleaning in this case, since I'm going to be inside anyway, might as well try to polish things, make it look all nice. Back to this painting though, polishing it with the finer kind of rigger brush here. I've gone plenty with the wash, and there's color spread all throughout, but I think a little bit of finer detail, especially with these huge expressive strokes. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of flavor that is needed. I do want to apologize a little bit for the video quality here. Not that the quality is bad, but I forgot to set the focus mode on this camera, so you're gonna find that it's autofocusing just a bit too. It's autofocusing a bit too much for my liking onto my hand as I'm painting. And as much as that is the action of the painting, like, I am technically doing it with my hands, I think that focusing on where the paint is going is more important for a video about painting. But also at this point you can see some white streaks flying across the camera as the snow is peeking up. I really wasn't expecting it to be snowing, but the fact that it is, I think, only increases the experience, only makes it better. I guess there is a negative in that I didn't think that it was going to be this cold, so for this video I'm actually not editing the time. It's going to be a real-time video because I really was going fast with it. My pace was just, I am chilly. I need to move my arms and move my hands, get those fingers not frozen solid. I could actually feel, especially with this thinner brush, I could feel that it was freezing a little bit as I was painting with it. It was losing water, so ambient temperature being 0, it was very quickly getting to be a bit harder to work with. And I noticed actually that the bird fountain, it's not a fountain, we don't have running water on it, but it's like a bird bath. We have a little shallow dish on the deck, and I noticed that the water was kind of half frozen in there, so it's definitely that time of year, early January for this part of the United States. I'm in Maryland. We experience all the seasons, and January and February are the coldest months for us, so it's nice to get a little bit of snow. I'm happy that I got to catch it onto the video as well. It's really cool to watercolor when the weather isn't perfect, because the water will naturally have an effect on the watercolor. Anywhere there's a rain droplet, anywhere there's a snowflake, the pigment is going to dilute a little bit more than in other areas. So I feel like overall the effect will be quite subtle. It's just a little bit of water, like less than a milliliter of water than in a raindrop in a snowflake. But over the course of a 20-minute painting, having all of those drops on it, it culminates into a natural pattern. Sort of like how the snow accumulates just over time, you know, it eventually fills every spot, every cavity, and you know, as every inch adds, it doesn't, unless the wind blows it in a particular way, then usually snow will layer itself inch over inch on top of itself fairly flat. So over the course of, maybe 20 minutes isn't enough, but over the course of say an hour or two, then every square inch of this painting would have had a bit of water from the sky affecting it, and I think that would morph it a little bit, but I also want to see what that looks like. I don't have a control over something like that outside of just letting nature do its thing and just imagining that it's going to look a little better than just polka dots, and it's not going to turn into Seurat painting out of just doing that. You know, the kind of polka dot style of painting. It wouldn't suddenly turn into that from the rain. But that said, I have tried painting in the rain before, and then suddenly it becomes a thunderstorm, and that is not pleasant. If it gets to be a flood of water onto the watercolor page, that would have a bit of, I guess that would be a bit of a grain effect, as it muddies all of the color overall, picks up a little bit of pigment from every part of the painting. Wow, that was some alliteration, but you get what I'm saying. If you flood the whole page with water and the whole page has paint, it all picks up, moves around, and yeah, it muddies a little bit more than what it's doing here with just a few snowflakes every so often, landing right in the perfect spot for me. I'm gonna have some close-ups in a little bit, so stay tuned for the end of the video to see what some of those close-up flakes look like. But for the time being, you can see them just flying across the camera, and I can feel them still, I think, because I think at this stage of the painting, when I start doing the edges, is when I'm thinking, all right, I gotta finish this up. My hands are frosty, and I am not a snowman. I do not like too much cold. Personally, I do prefer cold weather. You know, you could always add another layer versus the summer. I mean, you get naked, but you know, if it's still hot, you're just too hot. But I don't have gloves on, so in the par freezing kind of weather, that's the coldest thing. And I feel like there are some gloves that would be kind of nimble in this kind of application, but thinking about it now, I need to get me some fingerless gloves for this kind of work, because then I have the fine kind of control of having fingertips and finger pads, but then the warmth of actually wearing gloves. That's really what I'm lacking in this painting here, is warmth for myself. But that becomes a part of the painting, that bit of rush that I'm having personally, because physically I am not able to stay here for any longer than I do. I reach my limits once it starts to snow any bit harder, because not only is the ambient temperature 0, but the snow feels even colder than that. And I do love it, but even things that we love have limits, you know. I'm actually taking a peek outside right now, and it's snowing a lot. I don't always do it like this, where I record both the video and the voiceover the same day, but I am here, and I think it's gonna be some accumulation tonight. It's exciting. Maybe not so much if you gotta go to work tomorrow, but luckily I'm able to stay in, work on some more videos for you guys. So please stay tuned for the next thing I got in store for y'all. I do have to build my IKEA wardrobe, but once that's finished, I'm planning on building a thing for the channel and hopefully have a little guide for how to build something yourself. But here's a close-up of the painting. You can see it's actually on a bit of a rough watercolor paper, so there's a lot of texture going on throughout the page. I feel like from this perspective, when it's in portrait, a lot of those purple, pink rectangles that I'm feeling like ghosts kind of roaming through the painting. But any orientation works for it as well. But here you can see, my gosh, it's really snowing. And not enough to be I wouldn't say it's going to accumulate off of what's on the video here, but the potential is there. As I hold the camera up and try to see how often the snowflakes are hitting the page, and you can see every second it's getting hit. A couple of those darker spots on the page are actually snowflakes. They aren't places where I dropped paint intentionally, but it's where Mother Nature chose that there was meant to be a dot. Thank you so much for joining me in this pleasant painting experience. Once again, Happy New Year. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Subscribe for more. Peace.